Welcome to the Law, Your Money, and You. I'm Roberta Sapphire, an attorney in Sharon.
And I'm Camille Barron, a financial coach, also here in Sharon. Today we're going to be talking about what it takes to plan for college. We have a lot of students in high school, seniors or juniors, who are thinking about that big step. We're going to find out more about how they can go about it without making a big mess out of it all.
I think that's an excellent idea, especially we have gotten tons of emails, not just from parents, but from a few high school students, mostly parents. And we're very fortunate to have as our guest today from the College Planning Group, right in Canton, Stan Ezekiel. Now, did I pronounce your name right?
That's very good, Roberta. Ezekiel, yes.
Very good.
Did good.
It's from the Bible.
It is.
Yeah,
it
very
is.
nice name.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What I am, I've been in the college planning business for 18 years. I got involved because I am a parent. My son grew up, both of them did actually, and they wanted to go to college, and I didn't know what to do. And so I sort of, tried to find somebody to help, but I couldn't. So at that point, 18 years ago, I started to learn what it takes to get a student into college and through college, both from a college planning standpoint and a financial aid standpoint. And I think one of the important factors that I have to, are able to talk about is that we look at the financial part as much as we do the college planning part. And I am not a financial planner, and I am not a CPA, but I am a college planner. And that is, I think, very important to what I do.
Well, what about the guidance counselors at schools? Does this, aren't they supposed to help in planning, or do you do, what do you do that they don't do?
Well, I don't know.
I'm sure plenty. But
Oh, well, the guidance counselors, I mean, let's face it, they have a tough job. They have a lot of different students, and maybe they don't have all the time to spend with specific students. So we don't say eliminate, we're not trying to eliminate the guidance counselor, but what we do is we sort of help them through the students through the process, telling them to make sure they're checking with their guidance counselors. But a lot of times they just can't get answers that they need right away because the guidance counselors, their offices are always full. There may not be time where they can always get a hold of somebody like myself via email or phone to get an answer to a question that at that point, and even in our own lives, if we have a question we want to answer now, we don't want it a week from now.
It's like instead of going to a clinic for your health, you have a personal doctor.
Yeah,
that's right.
Hey, that's right. But the guidance counselors, they do a great job for what they do. But it's not, most of the guidance counselors are not as versed in the financial aid part as somebody like myself, because it's not their responsibility. It's their responsibility to make sure that the student is taking the right classes to get out of high school. That's their goal, to get out of high school and on to a good college. And from the financial standpoint, most parents are on their own. And they have to sort of, feel their way through. And unfortunately, a lot of times, it's by trial and error. And if you make a mistake on your financial aid, it could end up costing you money. So, guidance counselors are there and they're good. But it's always helpful to have another set of eyes, somebody who does it. This is all we do.
You can guide them so that they don't have to do it over and over and over and over again, and then by the time they have it right, it's too late.
That's correct.
Well, normally when it comes to anything that requires an investment, some people tend to put the cart before the horse and think about how much it's going to cost before they make a choice. But I'm sure you would agree, being in the business, that a student, in order to do it right, really needs to figure out first what do they need in terms of an education, what are they looking for, what's best suited for them and what their career path is, and then you can help them with respect to the cost involved. So let's start with, what are some of the main factors that a student needs to consider when he or she is making a decision about college?
Okay, one of the things I think we are all guilty of as parents, aunts, uncles, is that we always try to say to our students, what do you want to be when you grow up? big mistake in my eyes, because we're putting undue pressure. Most high school students, going into freshman year, it's kind of nice and relaxed. Sophomore year gets a little sketchier, and then when it comes junior year, they're really starting to think, uh-oh, what am I going to do? Meanwhile, that question is still there. What do you want to be when you grow up? What college do you want to go to? I never, ever ask a student what they want to be when they grow up, because I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, okay? I ask them what their interests are. And this is how I approach the students, is dealing with their interests. Okay, what interests them? Are they interested in business? Are they interested in criminal justice? Are they interested in psychology? And that's how we guide them to colleges that have those interests, so that while they're still going through high school, still making up their mind, okay, they have their interests, and then when they get to college, and even when you get to college, you don't have to declare your major until after your second year. So now you have a student who has interests in business and criminal justice and psychology, and if they're in the school that has all three of those majors, they don't have to change schools when they decide, okay, I want to go into criminal justice. And if they're in a school that doesn't have that criminal justice that they want, now they have to change schools. Right. Okay, which adds to the cost of a college education. Mm-hmm. So the planning of the college education, of finding the college, I think is one of the most important parts of the process, making sure the students are in the right school. There's a study that was done by the United States Department of Education, and they say that 51% of the students that go to college as a freshman will transfer or drop out. And they transfer or drop out mainly because they did not plan properly. They did not get to the right school. And so now they just threw up their hands and decided to go on to something else. And that's a shame.
That's a lot of information to keep up with, because say you have BU, say they don't offer the course anymore, one of those three courses, so you really got to know your stuff as to what they're offering. And
yeah, and that's what we do with the students. That's we help them. You know, if a lot of students will come to me and say, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that, and I can come up with colleges that have what they're looking for, that helps them. And that's what they need, is just somebody, because I don't do it for them. Okay, what I do is say, here, go look at this, check out this school. Tell me what you think of this school. How does this school fit in with what you're looking for? And that's the key element. Wow. Because a lot of times what we do as parents is, okay, what does it have? Does it have the major you want? And that's, you know, again, not the right thing to do. But we're always not taking away, academics is an important part of the education, of course. But so is the social life. So is the setting. So is the size of the school. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different factors that go into making up a college that is going to be good for the student.
Mm-hmm. So what are the steps that students need to take when they're getting started?
I think the biggest step they need to do is decide that they're going to do some research. Okay, I don't make it. It's not easy. I'm not trying to make it sound easy, but it can be fun. And most students look at it as a chore, because you have a mom or a dad saying, hey, did you look at colleges yet? Hey, what colleges are you looking at? And, you know, I mean, you tell a teenager to do anything as a parent, that's not getting done, okay?
Yeah.
Things haven't changed.
No, from generation to generation, it's all the same. But if you can make suggestions to them and lead them down the path, okay, they respond, and they respond very well, because of my approach is that the students and parents are one unit. However, student worries about the college, what's going to be best for them, and we help them through that. Parent worries about how to pay for it, and we sort of separate them so that you don't have mom and dad already say, hey, do this, okay? I had a student in the other day, and we're talking, trying to get the essay done. And I said to him, okay, here it is Monday, okay, you don't have anything to do the rest of the week. I want the essay by Friday. Can you do that? He says, yeah, I can do that, as long as she gets off my back.
Oh, the mother.
Yeah.
Oh, she was there with them?
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever have ones where you see them alone and then either the student or the mother calls on the thing and say, tell them to do this, tell them to do that, or the kid calls you up and says, tell her not to do that? Do you have that ever happen?
Oh, sure, all the time. And if
I used to have that with the weddings.
Yeah.
When
Oh, really?
when we used to do the weddings. The girl say,
Yeah.
can you get, she won't let me do that. I go, well, what do you want? You try to do it so that they both think that they got what they wanted.
Absolutely. But I'm not as tactful as that. Okay? I always have I always have a consultation with the parents and the students so that we can set the ground rules. Okay? And if a parent is saying to me, hey, I want to do this, I want the student to do this, I will tell them, that's not what the student wants to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, you have to let the student do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. Okay, and same with the student. I wouldn't tell if the student says, "Hey, my parents all over me," then I may maybe mention something to the parent. So I sort of act as a buffer to get things done.
Well, sometimes the student doesn't know what's best for them. Sometimes,
don't you
and
think
sometimes they do.
Yeah.
They know more.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago, okay, that whoever you're dealing with in the young ages, okay, if you're dealing with a 7-year-old, you treat them like they're 9. You're dealing with a 17-year-old, you treat them like they're 21. And you get a response that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, and that's what I do with the students. Okay, I make it their responsibility. Who's going to college here? Mm-hmm. They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are they usually going away to college? Are all these kids going away? Does anybody go local?
Oh, sure. Most students around here will stay local. Okay,
Live at home.
Live
at home. Oh, nobody lives at home?
Well, every now and again some, but it doesn't happen a lot, okay? At least the students that I'm dealing with. The whole college experience is getting away from home.
Right.
Oh.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And then you were talking a minute ago about, they don't know what they want. Well, they don't know what they want because they've really never been given the opportunity to make a decision. And now, what better way to start with college? Okay, while having the guidance of the guidance office, having the guidance of the parents, and maybe even somebody like me. Now they're making a decision. They are making a decision, and you know as well as I do, if they make the decision, they're going to do a lot better when it comes to college.
It seems to me that where the South and the West start school sometimes 3 weeks earlier, so they really have a jump on getting into the colleges. Somebody like you would be beneficial because then you could give them the little jump that they need. Whereas these people, I can see they have a head start on the East.
I have one student so far this year who has all done her applications, all done her essays. All she needs to do is push the button. Now,
well, that's
I've been working with her for 3 years.
Oh,
okay.
That's
so
interesting.
The juniors, the seniors today that were juniors last year, we all set a goal, and that goal was to know the 6 to 10 schools that they wanted to apply to by the time they went back to school to start their senior year. And we had excellent response with that. The students do what they have to do because it helps them. We had most of them have their essays done. Most of them know who they're going to write the recommendation letters. They're just sitting back waiting now to get their transcripts. So
do you remember when you did that?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
Me too, even for the kids.
So once they
Yes.
do the research, because that was the first step, that maybe they come up with 6 to 8, what would be the next step?
Well, if you're doing the research, you're probably coming up with 20 or 25, and then you're narrowing them down. Okay. One step that we sort of went right over that we really should talk about is making sure the grades stay up. You got to have good grades. You have to prepare for the SATs. And, you know, these are all stumbling blocks that a lot of students, I think, they listen to everybody. Nobody likes to take the SATs, but you got to. So you may as well do it well. And so they should be preparing for the SATs in their junior year. They'll take them in the spring of their junior year. So the students who want to succeed will. And I find that all students want to succeed. Just a lot of times they need that little extra nudge, if you would, from somebody other than a mom, a dad, or a guidance counselor.
So they have their choice, maybe more than a dozen initially.
Yep.
They've got their grades pretty well under control. What happens next?
If you're a senior in high school and you have 6 to 10 schools prepared, you'll be starting the Common Application, okay, which is an application that's accepted by 458 colleges these days. It goes up a little bit every year. What that means is,
That's great.
if you're applying to, say, 6 schools and 4 are on the Common Application, then for those 4 schools you really only have to do 1 application because it gets sent to all of them. And then you have to do the regular application for the other 2. So the Common App really helps the student, you know, in their timing, okay, in their time management, because they can actually take care of applying to 4 schools with 1 application.
I noticed that you haven't yet mentioned screening those choices for financial, for the costs. Are we premature to say at that point we would have looked into that, or are we going to wait?
No, it's a sort of a great balancing act from the financial end of it. Yes, my concern with the students is they don't think about the cost. Okay, you know, you can look at a $60,000 school, a $50,000 school, and say, "Oh no, that's too much. You can't go there." But it depends on the financial aid package. Because the other part of what's important to families is every family who has a student who wants to go to college, and I don't care what grade they're in, should know what their family contribution is. That's what the government says they can afford to pay for their their child's education. Now, I'll guarantee, as we're sitting here today, nobody will like what their family contribution is, and they'll say, "Whoa, what are they, nuts? You know, how do they expect us to do with that?" Well, they do. Get over it. Move on. So that's why you want to get that done as soon as possible.
How do they find out what their family contribution is?
You know, there's a lot of different places on the web that you can go. That's dangerous because some of them are not up to date, so you have to be very careful. But I have that program in my office that is up to date, so I'm able to you know, generate the family contribution for anybody. And another part of what we do is, you know, maybe give them ideas on how they can lower their family contribution. Maybe repositioning some assets, you know, little things that may save them a little bit of money down the road when the college education. But as we find the students colleges, the colleges that they're interested in, what I do also is we'll take that family contribution that we just figured out and plug it back into colleges. And now we can see what type of financial aid they can expect to get from the college. Okay, so I have a database for that also, because not all colleges give the same financial aid. Some colleges will give, you know, 100%, take care of 100% of the need. Some colleges may only take care of 50% of the need. Some colleges will take care of the need in gift aid. Some colleges will just give loans. So
Do you have like a database too of financial aid from organizations? You know, like if your last name is Murphy, or if you're some religion, or if there's somebody's a fireman, or are there organizations and lists for financial aid for people like that? You know, scholarships.
You're talking about scholarship
Oh,
search?
scholarships. Oh, yeah, there's a difference between scholarships and financial. Would you deal with scholarships too, or just financial aid?
We do not. We are not a scholarship search company.
Oh, are there companies like that?
Well,
that
you know,
search?
the idea is to go on the web Okay, you go to fastweb.com or finaid.com, and the student can put in their demographic information, and then push a button, and then scholarships will pop up that
that's
they could
fascinating.
qualify for. But the thing is, they have to qualify for them. There's qualifications for all these scholarships. Okay.
How about career trends? You know, like somebody might say to you, well, I'm thinking of either going into the medical field or the police field or the teaching field. Like I remember many, many, many years ago, there were no more teachers. There were too many teachers. Then there were too many nurses. And then not enough doctors. How does it look today, in today's world?
Well, I have what I call my college planner that every one of our students gets, and on there we are able to go right to the occupation that you ask about, and it'll tell you what the outlook is. If you're going to go into, say, criminal justice, what's the outlook for the next 5 or 10 years, or if you want to go into physical therapy, what's the outlook? So
Did you give tests on like what their interests, like, oh, they're interested in this and their
Aptitude.
and it turns out like years ago mine was a mechanic.
Did it work?
Well, I knew how to take the carburetor off my brother's car so when he went out he wouldn't be able to start it. I don't think I could do that today.
Yeah. Now, actually, My College Planner does have those questions for the students. It deals with their interests, values, skills, and personality, and from there it comes up with ideas that might be good for them. And actually, I know the one I have works. I know it works because I did it, and it sits me to a T. And I actually show the students this program to see, when they come to the office, and most of them love it.
When you first started this, there was no internet or very little internet. Oh my God, it must be so much easier for you now, or is it harder?
Well, does progress make things easier? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It can go both ways.
Yeah, I mean, for kids today, I mean, you guys will remember this, but you remember that, remember when Texas Instrument came out in the early 70s or mid-70s with that handheld calculator? Well, that hadn't even come out when I went to college, okay? And so the progress and the technology has made it so much easier for a lot of the kids that it's often hard for somebody like myself to get through what they're talking about. So we sort of find a common ground. But there's just so much information out there, and that's, you can get a lot of information from the internet, okay? But how right is it, okay? How up to date is it? I was with somebody the other day, and they brought in a sheet from Kiplinger about the changes on the FAFSA. I said, wow, that's great. I didn't know there was going to be any changes. And they were all excited. And I looked at it, it says 2010, 2011.
Can you explain to the viewers what the FAFSA is? Because we started to talk a little bit about the financial aid, the financial aid process.
Yeah.
That's FAFSA's financial aid?
The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. So if a family...
FAFSA?
F-A-F-S-A.
F-A-F-S-A.
Yes.
FAFSA. I can't even say it. FAFSA.
That's right. Your
I
kids
don't
are out
have
of college, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it.
Nope. The grandchildren
Yeah.
do.
There you go. You can worry about it with them. But if a family wants financial aid, and that's another thing, every family, no matter who they are, should be asking for financial aid. It's one of those things, if you don't ask, you don't get. So it doesn't matter what the income level is. And I have a lot of families that I've worked with that are well over $200,000 that are getting financial aid. So everybody should be doing this.
Well, I
But-
feel college should be free, but that's another story.
But
Or
it's
it should
not.
be. Yeah,
And
it's gone up so much higher in percentage than salaries and other things.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It is, but do you
But
know
that's
why?
another
Do you know
one.
why it keeps going up?
Why?
Because they can.
Oh, because they can. Oh,
'Cause they
good
know-
answer. Good answers.
They know, yeah, well, they know that we as parents, and I did it, you know, you do what you can to help your children. And unfortunately, in today's world, they need a college education.
Oh. Well, we're going to go into You've Got to Be Kidding, unless there's one other thing, but we could talk for hours. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But do you know about You've Got to Be Kidding?
I've heard of
segment?
it.
Well, you have to, if you want to partake of it, you have to go, You've Got to Be Kidding. And this
Okay.
is our You've Got
That's
to
the
Be
response.
Kidding bag,
Okay.
which has been around. And what do we got in the bag? What's this in the bag? Sometimes we do You've Got to Be Kidding on things that have nothing to do with what you're kidding about. You're not
okay.
kidding.
We
but
read one
but,
that has
but
something-
I got this. Yeah, this we got this, and this is, they're not kidding, but you read it and you go, they've got to be kidding about top, and this is local. I mean, this is present day. Top career trends every student should consider. Now, this is basically what you advise. The first was they're telling them, expect to change jobs numerous times in your career. So I'm saying to myself, you've got to be kidding. They go to school, who knows, maybe they went to 8 years of school, 10 years of school, and then this one's telling them, be prepared to change jobs, which people do probably because they live long. You're supposed to say you've got to be
You've
kidding.
got to be kidding.
You got to be kidding. Okay.
And then I'll leave out the second one, but the third one, unless you want to say anything about that.
No, go well, I just think it's starting out on a negative foot. You're starting out on the wrong foot. All of a sudden, you're saying, "Oh, wait a minute! I go to school and I'm going to change jobs." It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be helping them. It's a whole full page. And then I'll skip over the second one. Where is the second one? Oh, here's the second one. The second one, it says know where the jobs are. Well, but shouldn't that be before they start? You know, knowing where they are, what school.
Yeah.
And the third one, it says, and this is a really one. Here, you read it, because I keep laughing when I read it.
Consider going back to school for additional career training.
I mean, they got to be kidding. In other words, go back, consider going back to school. So here you're out, and then they're saying, you go back.
Yeah, it says today's job market requires that employees keep their skills current, and as a result, more and more adults are going back to school.
Yeah, I say you've got to be kidding. Read that
Yeah.
one. This has nothing to do with school, but it has to do with our present economy.
All right. This is, if this isn't the definition of waste, I don't know what is, said Tom Fitton. The city of Bethesda, Maryland, is about to spend $4 million, $3 million from taxpayers and $1 million from the government,
Yeah, they
To
got to
house-
be kidding.
to house only 12 people in one facility. That comes to $330
$1,000
per person.
And on that we have to wrap it.
Okay.
Can you imagine that in this economy? $330,000 per person out of our money.
This is create housing for the homeless, I see.
yeah, 12
Okay.
people.
The price tag is pretty high on this one.
Yeah,
Yes.
they got to be kidding. They're
Yeah.
not kidding. I mean, even the own congressman called that up.
Sure.
So we leave it to Camille to wrap up the show.
Well, we want to thank you very much for
yes.
being on
My
the
Thank
show.
pleasure.
you.
Thank you for
We always
having
find
me.
there's so much more that we can talk about.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants more information about the topic today, they can send us an email, and then we'll make
Yeah.
sure that we get the information or the questions over to you,
Okay.
Stan. And other than that, we want to say again, as we always do,
I forgot my
please.
star.
Oh, yes, before we do
My
that.
star to remind you that come visit us live at the library.
Live at the library, where we do this show in person at the library, so people can come and sit in the audience and ask questions. We have another one coming up in November.
Right? Remember?
In the meantime, please let us hear from you. The way that we decide what topics to cover in this program really comes from our viewers' requests. So please send us your emails, and we will do everything possible to accommodate your request. Remember, this is your show. The law, your money,
And you!